Hi everyone, so it's been a while, hasn't it? A few things have changed since I last made a video in that my hair's a different colour. I've got this new weird hole in my face, I don't know how that got there. And also I've kind of completed my A-levels, which is really weird because I feel like I've spent so much time actually doing them. And now they're just all over. So first I'm going to talk about me. So my subjects that I did for A-level were biology, chemistry, physics, maths, and I did the further maths AS. And last year I got 4 A's in all of those except for further maths because obviously I did that this year. For my GCSEs I got 4 A stars, 4 A's and 3 B's, and the A stars were in subjects I did to A-level, which was really convenient. Convenient? I'm going to study natural sciences next year, either at the University of Cambridge or Durham University, because I've firmed and insured. So with all these details, I think it's safe to say that I should add a disclaimer that this is all going to be stuff that I would have found useful at the beginning of year 12. It might not actually help any of you. Fair enough, I hope it helps some people at least. So I have a habit of talking a lot. I'm going to make this as brief as possible, but I think it'll be best for all of us if I add little sections that you can skip to so that you don't have to hear me waffle on about things you don't care about. So the 4 things I'm going to talk about are how to pick your A-levels, advice I'd give to my year 12 self, how to make the jump from GCSE to AS, and how to make friends. So the first section, how to pick your subject. Well, I chose my best subjects because I had no idea what I wanted to do at university, or even if I wanted to go to university or continue education at all. I originally wanted maths, further maths, German and chemistry. But I wasn't actually allowed to do further maths because my teacher said I wasn't smart enough. I just self-taught it the year after, and that shows that there is a degree of flexibility. Like, if you make the wrong subject choice, there are ways that you can sort of get around it and do it in the end. You know, if you know what you want to do after university, that's great. You might as well skip this part because you just need to choose those subjects or the subjects that allow you to do that. But if not, there are 3 main things that you have to look for when you're choosing a subject, and that is that you're good at the subject, that you enjoy the subject, and if you have that background of sort of knowing at least the direction that you want to go into, if that subject's going to help you get to where you need to be. If you're looking to apply for a certain course or a certain job or apprenticeship and they actually list the A-levels they'd want you to have, then I'd think it's quite good to look at which ones are on the list and which ones you're suitable for, as in the ones that you're good at and the ones that you enjoy, because there's no point doing a subject that you don't enjoy. It's just going to be miserable for the 2 years, and if you're not good at it, then likewise you're not going to have much fun. By good, I don't mean that you need to be like a genius in it, just that you need to have the necessary entry requirements, which is normally an A in that subject at GCSE or sometimes a B. If you're looking to apply to a Russell Group University, they actually list their facilitating subjects on their website. I'll insert a link to that in the description, and it tells you all the subjects that are really respected by the Russell Group Universities and lots of other good universities, and that would be a good place to start if you're looking to go down that sort of route. Obviously don't choose like chemistry if you hate chemistry, but chemistry is a facilitating subject, and so if you like it and it's useful, then that would be a good place to go. Still a little bit uncertain after considering these 3 things. It doesn't matter too much because you can sort of take a little try run of the subject at the beginning of year 12. I actually changed from German to biology in the first term. There's around a 2-week period in which you could just switch over if you wanted to. The stuff you do in the first 2 weeks is sort of post GCSE, pre-A-level sort of bridge, so it's not too bad missing that, and it wasn't too hard for me to catch up on, so I definitely recommend that for anyone that's a bit uncertain. If you do decide to do that, you want to make sure that the subject you're changing to is something that you're good at and that you enjoy, and the subject that you're changing from is one that you definitely don't enjoy and don't think you can do well in, because after you've changed you can't change back, and it would mean that you'd have to drop that 4th subject and end up with 3 ASs, which would allow no flexibility really in year 13. The second section is advice I'd give to my year 12 self. So something that I did for the majority of AS year was rowing, and that took up a hell of a lot of time, and it was really difficult, and it made it really difficult to keep on top of schoolwork. Similarly, a lot of my friends had jobs in year 12, and that was just really stressful. They often got very little sleep, and it just really impacted on their education. So I'd say know when to quit, and don't feel like you need to carry on something if you're not enjoying it and it's not helping you out. I was never going to be a professional rower. I wasn't even very good at it, So the fact that I continued on with it for maybe 26 hours a week when I was sort of struggling with school was not a good option. You don't want to be putting extra stress on yourself because it's stressful enough having to learn all that stuff and being in a completely new environment to the one you were in before. But saying that, don't get too bogged down with work and just completely isolate yourself from the world. In life, there's hopefully always going to be something higher that you want to achieve. A new job, maybe having kids. You're always going to be busy, but you need to learn to balance your social life, your hobbies and academia. Don't let A-levels take over your life because you'll end up really boring and you won't know how to cope when school's no longer a thing. Thirdly, it's important to realise that everyone works and learns in their own ways. My friends would all stay long hours at school in really silent libraries, just working by themselves, and sometimes they invite me along with them and I would just annoy the hell out of them. I'd get so bored and I'd end up distracting them because that's not my environment. If I'm at home in my PJs, unlimited supplies of tea, music playing, that's perfect for me. So don't feel pressured to conform to what you think the standard student working should look like. In fact, even teachers always used to ask me why I wasn't staying back at school, and I had to explain to them that I was at home and that I was working and that I wouldn't work very well at school. So you've got to kind of realise in yourself that you don't always have to listen to teachers or your friends when it comes to that stuff. Sometimes you might know better. You do you, homegirl. Okay, so teachers are great, but you've got to realise that your potential is only as large as you allow it to be. If you've got the grades that allow you to do A-levels, there's nothing stopping you from getting the highest grades possible. I remember being told that the difference between GCSEs and A-levels is that you had to work independently. I'd actually go a couple steps further and say that almost everything you do has to be partially independent at least. Teachers can't motivate you to revise, that has to be you. Teachers can't really predict your grades because that's 90% how hard and efficiently you work. Note the word efficiently. Teachers can't tell you how to revise because it just might not work for you. I was actually planning on uploading a video on how I revised because how I revise is actually very different to how teachers told me to revise, and it worked really well for me, and I'd recommend it to people who weren't quite getting on with the way that teachers were telling you to do stuff. #anarchy. It may be really demotivating for you to hear from a teacher that they don't think you're going to get the grades that you're aiming for, or that you shouldn't apply to university that you want to. I had a teacher tell me that I wouldn't get a D in chemistry when I got 90%. I had a teacher laugh when I said that I wanted to get 4 A's. I had another teacher tell me that I shouldn't apply to Cambridge. Obviously all of these things happen, so if I just listened to what the teacher said and what the teachers thought I could do, rather than what I thought I could do, I wouldn't be nearly as fulfilled as I am now. There are going to be teachers that maybe see you as a statistic and will underestimate you, but you've got to find it within yourself to rise above that and learn from your failure and use their words to sort of motivate you to do better. Now, how to deal with the jump from GCSE to AS. Some people, this jump may be more like a little baby step, but for others like me, it's more like a mountain leap. If you worked hard for GCSEs and got good results, A-levels won't be much new. Of course, the workload will be higher and it will be harder, but you'll be prepared for it. If you worked hard for GCSE and didn't get the grades that you wanted, you need to sit down and think what went wrong for GCSEs and how you can improve that for A-levels, as in sort of revise your revision technique, revise the revision technique, and maybe sit down with a teacher, tell them where you want to be and what you did last year. They can kind of advise you on how to do better the next year. If you didn't work hard last year, regardless of what grades you got, and I'm talking minimal revision, not putting effort into homework, and you're in the same boat as I was in year 12, you do really need to turn it around for sixth form. In sixth form, you realise that homework is actually for your benefit. It's to help you remember stuff and to sort of give the teachers an idea of how you're doing and what they can support you with, and to give you an idea of what you know. So all in all, homework's generally really useful and you should really put a lot of effort into it because it will pay off. Maybe keep some kind of journal so that you can see when homework's due, maybe how much time you need to put into it next to it if you're not very organised, as I was not. Actually, a tip, so when I started sixth form, I wrote down the homework I got in my planner on the day I got it. But I actually found it much more useful to write down the homework on the day that it's due to give me an idea of how I need to balance my time. I really had a problem with organisation in year 11. This made it very difficult to miss anything out. Another one of my many tips, Always be proactive in lessons. Make sure you know what's going on during and after each lesson, otherwise it will all sort of build up and then it will just be a lot to deal with when exam time comes around. In fact, for sciences, misunderstanding a small part of how something happens can mean that you don't understand how the whole process probably happens. So it's a good idea to check that you've got everything sort of in shape. I'd also recommend regularly going through old notes, not like GCSE notes or like SATs notes, but the ones that you've been making throughout the year in class and at home for revision. Something I found really useful is a software called Anki, or Anki, I don't know how you pronounce it, the link is here. And it's basically a software that uses spaced repetition to help you not forget stuff. And basically tests you on information just as you're about to forget it, and just means that by the time exams come around, your memory of a topic is A+, and you don't have to cram really. Take mock exams seriously. They're a good chance for you to see where you are, how much you need to know, and also it's a waste of a past paper if you don't take it seriously, because they're already pretty limited as they are. The lighting probably changed a lot. Apologies, my camera battery died and I had to recharge it. Now it's quite late, so that there aren't many past papers also means that you should try and limit them to maybe one a month, and this means that you'll still have plenty left to do in March and April when you really need to be getting on with them. So obviously means at the beginning of the year you still need to revise, right? So for that time you should really work on understanding the content. There are kind of two parts to getting good grades, which is understanding the content and knowing how to put it. So that's like exam technique. So you've got to work on the content bit before March really, and then work on the exam technique bit mostly post-March. Of course, maths has about 1 trillion papers because it's been going since the beginning of time, so you can do as many maths papers as you want if you do maths. Also, don't piss around in free periods, right? I know it's exciting having all of this time you can talk to your friends in, or maybe like play Candy Crush. Like, is that really necessary? I don't know anyone that's looked back on the time at sixth form and thought, do you know what I really wish I did? I wish I spent more time playing Candy Crush. Like, free periods are honestly so useful, and it would be a shame if they were all wasted on your phone. As I said earlier, there is a balance, but frees are actually a really good time for you to consolidate all the information you have, for you to do homework in, revise it in, go to teachers, just make effective use of. Lastly, be active in lessons. I remember at GCSE everyone was really hesitant to put their hands up and ask questions. That will change as A2. It's such a community feel to classrooms, at least that was for me, because everyone was piping in and supporting each other, and there was a lot more discussion going on. If you don't understand something, chances are other people in the class don't understand it either, and so you're doing yourself a favour, your classmates a favour, you're welcome. Also, annoy the hell out of teachers. If you have a question about something or you want them to mark something for you, that's literally their job. Like, give it to them and don't feel bad about it, because it shows that you actually care about your grades and how you're doing in class. Also, teachers can be some of the best resources you have at school. I mean, I'm sure my sixth form teachers hate me. I'm not sure that's because I asked lots of questions though. So yeah, if you follow these tips, the jump from GCSE to AS shouldn't be too bad, although it probably will be a little bit difficult still. And my last point is making friends. So I didn't have this issue as much because I went to the same school for sixth form as I did for lower school, so I kind of had 5 years worth of friends already, but it was half and half, right? So I was kind of nervous about meeting the external students, and they were probably really nervous about meeting all the internals and the externals because they didn't know anyone. And it was actually really easy to make friends in like the first month, because everyone was so willing to get to know people and make new friends because they'd just been thrown into a different environment. So it wasn't like they were just groups and they weren't willing to talk to you. Like, if you went up to someone, they'd be more than willing to engage in conversation. It's just having the courage to actually maybe get out of your comfort zone and go up to people rather than being comfortable with your own friends, because you won't have that many people that you know. So talk to people, especially in your classes, and maybe arrange a study session with them. That's a really good way to meet new people, but also to just revise like with someone else, and it means that they can sort of introduce you to their new friends and you can introduce them to your new friends, and it's just good for everyone. So yeah, those are the main things I think I would have wanted to hear when I was in year 12. If you have any other questions that I haven't really answered very well, leave them in the comment section and I will perhaps make a Q&A video. Cool? Next week Sunday I'll actually be at Latitude Festival, which is going to be really fun. I hope you all have a fabulous week. Until then,